there seem to be two versions of the creation of Adam and Eve. In one, God creates animals first and humans later. In the other, God places man in the Garden of Eden. Man is lonely, so God creates animals first and women later. It wouldn't take much to reconcile the stories, but scholars say the two versions demonstrate that these biblical stories were written by two groups of Jews. One group called God Jehovah, the other group called God Elohim. This was sometime in the 9th century BC. Now Leviticus and Numbers are so full of laws that scholars said they had to have been written by a priest, maybe in the 7th century BC, to teach people that sleeping with the Canaanite girls just wasn't cool. A little later, some dude, definitely not Moses, wrote Deuteronomy that included the story of Moses' death. Then in the 6th century BC, an editor stitched all the scrolls together to make Judaism look like one unified front. Voila, the documentary hypothesis.
There's a plaque of approximately 10 centimeters in size, and upon it was covered densely with writing.
On 2 silver scrolls, you can read a biblical passage. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace. These scrolls are exactly the same as the Bible today, and they're 600 years older than the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Torah hasn't changed. The tradition is good, but the greatest discovery was yet to come. For 20 years, the scrolls sat in the Israel Museum. Then in the 90s, Professor Barkai initiated tests involving new NASA imaging techniques, which revealed more biblical writings. This time, not from the book of Numbers, but the book of Deuteronomy.
We discovered that there is another biblical or Torah verse on it.
So 25 years after you find this thing, you actually find a whole new thing right before your eyes.
Yes.
Wow.
It was written there,
Keeps
the
his
great
covenant.
God who keeps his covenant and his grace to his lovers and the keepers of his commandments.
Beautiful.
This is a verse which comes from the 7th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. And this is source D. P and D together for the first time.
Remember the documentary hypothesis said the priestly writing and Deuteronomy were written at different times and weren't together until the editor did his stitching? Here, on one tiny silver scroll, with the help of cutting-edge technology, we found 2 quotes from separate books of Moses at least 100 years before the editor supposedly did his work.